Welcome, everyone, to the Data Center Power Design broadcast. My name is Stephen Warren. I'm the CTO of Data Center Dynamics, and what a pleasure to have you with us. But more importantly, what a wonderful pleasure to have such a great company join us at this particular time. Honeywell Xtralis. We've got Maria with us, but let me get to that in a moment. Next up, this is the tech showcase of discovering versatile solutions to accommodate lithium-ion battery systems. So this is really important that Honeywell Xtralis is actually taking the time out of their incredible opportunity to teach us everything we need to know what's going on with this wonderful new product of the Line Tamer. And I'm going to say it right up front, winner of the DCD Awards, 2023 Mission Critical Technology Innovation Award winner. What an absolute pleasure. So many people in the industry were so proud that this was actually out there for them because it's much needed. And with that, I've got to say, Maria Malunda, you happen to be the senior demand generation of European data centers for Honeywell. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. Let's get started. I'm going to remind folks, if you've got any questions or need to make any connections, send them in. We want to know what you're up to. With that, Maria, I'm going to turn it over to you and just a little bit of an intro of yourself too, because it's very unique in that positioning that you've got. And with that, let me turn it over to you, please.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you so much for having us. I was actually the one who pushed to have Line Tamer submitted to that award, so it's very close to my heart. And it's actually the reason I volunteered for this gig today. So very happy to be here to represent not only Line Tamer, but Honeywell and Xtralis. So today we're going to be talking about Line Tamer, the lithium-ion battery health and safety monitoring system. This is a sensor that we're going to be talking about today, and it's actually really close to my heart because when I started at Honeywell about 3 years ago, this was the product that I was promoting. I started out in the energy storage industry doing research and event coordination, and Honeywell was one of my sponsors and clients, and they snagged me because they saw a really good fit with Line Tamer. I like to tell that story because no matter how many times I move jobs in Honeywell, I'm actually in data centers now, as you mentioned. Line Tamer will always be my favorite product and the one that I really, really believe in. So that's why I'm here today. We're here today to talk about Line Tamer because of energy storage. Energy storage is on a major rise, and it has been for the past 10 years. You can see some charts and data on the slide, but what you need to understand is that the energy storage industry has increased massively and will continue to do so. All projections say that the market will continue to multiply, and just in the US, since 2018, the market has increased by 2,317%, according to Bloomberg. That's just the US, but it's expected to reach 500 gigawatt hours by 2030 from the same article. Now, that would include a compound annual growth rate of around 20.3% worldwide from 2024 to 2030. There's a lot of different statistics that you can find out there, but any way you look at it, energy storage is on the rise and lithium-ion storage is on the rise. It is the most popular battery chemistry in the world right now. It's the most marketable, and lithium-ion can be found anywhere from your iPhone to your laptop, and the applications that we're going to talk about today is industrial scale applications. Now, my focus now is data centers. I've been really lucky to be put into this industry, and I've brought my Line Tamer knowledge with me, and I see, and as you can see in front of you on the chart, Line Tamer batteries will be part of future data centers. Why is that? I'm part of my job, I'm very lucky to be able to go from event to event in Europe, going to the DCD Connect events, which we're at every year, a lot of other data center industry events. And the main topic of discussion is always sustainability. How can we make data centers more energy efficient, greener? And a big part of that will be using lithium-ion batteries for backup energy storage and maybe even primary. So we believe that lithium-ion batteries as a chemistry will take over the lead acid just because it's much more marketable and commercial. And this will continue to grow with the growth of lithium-ion batteries that we already mentioned. Now, why is this concerning when it comes to fire. The last thing I want to do, and what we want to do at Honeywell, is fearmonger, because we believe in lithium-ion batteries. It is the technology to choose when considering renewable energy, clean energy, and backup power storage. But lithium-ion batteries do tend to catch fire. This is called thermal runaway. And we believe that we have the best tailored solution to prevent these kinds of fires. And I wanted to start with a little bit of history on Lion Tamer. Lion Tamer is manufactured by a company called Xtralis. And our PR release, you can see on the screen, from some years ago, because Honeywell has exclusive rights to distribute Lion Tamer from Xtralis. Xtralis, what happened was that they answered the call put out by the US Navy back in the early 2000s. The US Navy had a fleet of submarines, and they actually were using lithium-ion batteries in their submarines. They had an incident, and as you can imagine, that's the last thing you want on a submarine is a fire, especially a fire that you can't put out very easily. They really struggled to contain this fire. They put out a call request for technologies, and Xtralis answered the call. They did a lot of research, and they came up with Lion Tamer as a solution. And I'll get into the details later. But what Lion Tamer looks like today is what you can see in front of you. This is generation 3 that won the award. As you can see, it's a very simple product of little black boxes that are sensors and that are monitored by a Lion Tamer system. It's a very easy sensor that detects electrolyte solvent vapor. Why is this important? Inside a battery, you have liquid electrolyte solvent. And this is part of the battery chemistry that stores energy. There's a lot more details and a lot of slides that I'm skipping here. So if you have questions that want to go in depth into how this works, send me a message, but we won't go through it today. But what you need to understand is when the battery becomes stressed, this liquid heats up to a point where it can't release the energy. Once that happens, the separator inside the battery becomes compromised and it starts fizzing. That's the easiest way I've been able to explain it. The battery starts fizzing right before, boom, explodes. So that's the research that was conducted by Xtralis. They realized that due to overcharging, battery misuse or abuse, exposure to high temperatures, and more importantly, manufacturing defects, these batteries can start overheating, fizzing, and then eventually going into thermal runaway. Now, Lion Tamer will cover these overheating errors like overcharging, misuse, or abuse. I always like to mention, if you run a car through a battery, Lion Tamer probably won't save you there because that's a physical abuse, something to consider. But if you are overcharging, misusing battery, or the battery gets very hot and you start having a problem, Lion Tamer will tell you that there's a failure and help you prevent a thermal runaway event. So how does this happen? There's 4 stages of battery abuse. There's an abuse factor, which we've gone over. The second stage is off gas. That's the fizzing. The battery is stressed. The separator has been broken. There is venting of electrolyte solvent vapor into the air. After that venting, there's smoke generation and catastrophic failure is imminent. Stage 4, there's a fire and you are completely done. Any talk of prevention is completely out of the question. Right now, at that point, you just need to call your insurance and hope that you'll be covered and there's no propagation. So what does Lion Tamer do? What Lion Tamer does, it tells you stage 2, you have a failure. Your battery is stressed, it's absolutely compromised, and you need to immediately shut off power and isolate the battery and hopefully offload any charge that's in that battery. The more charge in the battery, the more fuel the fire will have to burn. So I've come up with this very basic chart, so please forgive me, of what battery failure timeline would look like. So you see time on the bottom and temperature on the side. So you can see on the left when there's battery abuse, as there's overcharging, overheating, the separator is perforated and it starts fizzing. You can see there that it says golden time, 8 to 30 minutes. That is the very key. That is the time where line tamer is most efficient. Line tamer will give you a signal during that golden time. That signal will connect with your BMS, your battery management system, even your building management system, and tell you, hey, you've got a problem, shut off power. The most important piece of research that Xtralis did is this. If you shut off the battery and you cut off power at this golden time, you won't have a thermal runaway event. You won't have a fire. If line tamer only told you about an imminent fire, but shutting off the power wouldn't stop it, there'd be no point to have a line tamer. You just know that there's a fire. However, the research says that this golden time, you cut off the power, you can pull back and prevent lithium-ion fires. That's the key here. Now, this golden time does have an end. You can see the little dotted line. After a certain point, even if you've taken too long to process that signal and you don't have line tamer, and the abuse continues, you'll have smoke, other gases are detected, and eventually you'll have thermal runaway. Something really key to note here, if you start seeing smoke, you've gone past that line of no return. It is way too late and you have a problem already. Smoke detection won't prevent the fire. It will just tell you have a fire. What line tamer does is it gives you a very early detection so that you actually have time to take action and prevent the fire. So that's a very quick overview of line tamer, a very simple binary yes-no detector of electrolyte solvent vapor. I always like to mention that smoke is not enough to know to prevent a fire. Hydrogen isn't enough. A lot of people say, hey, I've got a hydrogen detector. Surely that's going to give me enough of a leeway to prevent this. Absolutely not. If you want the data, I'm happy to send it to you. But all those additional gases are released just way too late, where a kill switch just wouldn't be possible. So I thought that I would end the presentation on installing line tamer in data centers, because that's why we're here. That's why we're interested in this conversation. You can see 3 partners, 2 of which I'm working very closely with, CBS, Scutum, and Direction Fire. They've actually done a really good job of getting to know line tamer, and they've actually installed line tamer in data centers in different capabilities. So I always like to shout out to my partners because they're the ones that are on the ground installing this, and they're going to be the experts that can help you just answer a few more questions on installation. And then, like I mentioned, this is a very quick presentation, more of like an elevator pitch for line tamer. If you want to find out more, here is my QR code for my LinkedIn. Just send me a message and would be happy to help.
Thank you so much, Maria. Absolutely wonderful. And I've got to say, there's a reason why you won. You've just saved. We are a risk-averse industry, and you've just saved us. That's just fantastic. And even you're talking about the golden hour. That's when we're in panic mode. So thank you again. I mean, to everybody, there's a reason why so many of the judges and so many of the industry was so proud when Honeywell and Xtralis came out with this information. So appreciation. Couple of questions right up front, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There's quite a few, and I know that folks, please reach out to your Honeywell partner. Please reach out for all the help you need. But right now, retrofit, big issue. You know, I want to talk about that first, if I could. Can it be retrofitted into current solutions, current places? Because like you said in the beginning, energy storage is key. Everyone's doing it, and everyone's looking at lithium-ion. So can we even put this into facilities that already have it? Is it only greenfield or is brownfield okay?
Lion Tamer is a technology and a sensor, binary yes/no sensor that can be fit into any lithium-ion battery configuration, any size. So yes, it can be retrofit into a data center or any other system that has already been built. I'm currently working with a few data center owners now, some end users that are actually exploring this option because they say, we didn't know about this risk until now. It wasn't mandated by code. What can I do with my current sites? And it's definitely something that we're doing and will do in the future. We're always catching up to the code. So that's something that we're seeing.
That's the next question. Well, you hit it already, Maria. I mean, and I'm going to say, you've already said this many, many times. It's in the literature. Anytime, anywhere is the beauty of the solution. Now, let's jump to you mentioned the codes. Is this mandated by code?
It is not mandated by code yet in all codes. There's been some mentions in NFPA. I believe that there's going to be some new developments with UL. But right now, it's not mandated by code, but it should be. What I like to say is, well, a few things on Lion Tamer, but it's like this. You wouldn't not put on a seatbelt because your car has airbags. You wouldn't not install Lion Tamer because it's not mandated by code or because you have other fire detection technologies there. Lion Tamer is the only product that's tailor-made for lithium-ion batteries. I will say, though, and I will give a shout out to some cities that have mandated explicitly electrolyte solvent vapor into their codes. City of Austin has done that already in the US. I know that New York is always at the forefront of fire codes because they're of course, in urban environments. So there is movement. There's always movement in codes, but codes are always catching up. Codes are always waiting for something to happen, and that's not something that we can really wait on. I believe that it's the end users, installers, and construction companies that have the responsibility to the stakeholders to build the most safe systems out there. The last thing that we want is for lithium-ion fires to give energy storage and clean energy a bad name. So that responsibility really lies with the end user to go above and beyond to make sure that those installations are safe.
I got to say, thank you very much for actually putting it the best way possible. Like an extra seatbelt. You're safe. That's so important. And as you mentioned, the risk-averse industry we're in. Hey, can I talk about cost? Because you even mentioned that there's a big opportunity to save your entire building. Once it goes up, too late, time's over. So there's actually a tremendous benefit, especially with insurance. Both the insurance of me being able to sleep at night and the customers knowing that they're being sustainable and they have this opportunity where they're actually saving. But I got to ask you, cost, insurance, savings, there's a lot going on here, Maria. We need to understand.
At the end of the day, Lion Tamer does have a cost to it. Sometimes when we quote projects, we get a pushback, this cost is way too high. But what I like to say is that at the end of the day, you're saving your reputation, you're saving your project. How much is safety worth to you? And something to always think about, you mentioned insurance. With something like Lion Tamer, if you as an end user are investing in additional safety measures tailored for the technology that you're installing, it really shows insurance companies that you are dedicated to safety and, most importantly, risk reduction. Insurance companies always want to talk about risk reduction, and Lion Tamer is just an extra step where you're committing to lowering risk. Not only committing to that, but committing to doing clean energy right. So I've worked with insurance companies before. We're constantly talking to them, showing them our research, showing them how much we can lower costs, lower risks. And it's an important conversation to have. But at the end of the day, peace of mind is priceless. Having the support of your community is priceless, and not having local fire departments have to answer any kind of lithium-ion fire is also priceless. So I think that's the best answer I can give for costs.
That was a great answer. I gotta say, I can actually buy peace of mind for once in my life. Never knew that was possible. You just helped an entire industry. So thank you. Hey, Maria, I know we're running out of time and I'm sorry. But look, the big thing that's really come up is, could you help us understand what we need to think? Some final thoughts. This is so new. You've worked with so many great players. You've got great partnerships happening, but what do we need to do? How can we get in front of this, or how can we make this happen? And how do we work with you and everyone at Honeywell? You're so fantastic.
The biggest chunk of my time right now in my role is about standardization specification.
Okay.
So it's being smart about looking at your portfolio. What are you going to develop in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? And what do you want? What are your values? If your company values include sustainability, clean energy, energy storage is the answer for you. If you want to install energy storage systems in a responsible way, please consider line tamer as an added safety measure. There's going to be a lot of naysayers that say, the BMS system will take care of it. We've got temperature sensors that will take care of it. We've seen the reports, we've seen the articles, thermal runaway happening well below the temperatures that would signal a catastrophic failure. And I would never want this to discourage the adoption of lithium-ion batteries, but it's just, you have to be informed and you have to take on that responsibility beyond what's mandated to build smart and to build safe. So think about standardizing. And if you have any questions, would like to standardize your portfolio, not just with line tamer, with any fire and life safety system, give me a call. We'd love to help. We help with standardization of design so that you can build scalable designs that can be brought across borders, across countries with our portfolio. Honeywell is a company that has a lot of brands, and we work through a partner channel. They're the local experts that I mentioned in my presentation. We've got partners who are experts in their field, in their local cities and countries. It's our job to connect you to them and to make sure that you have, you can standardize your designs wherever you go. So that's where we come in.
Maria, to you and to everybody at Honeywell Xtralis, thank you so much for the help.
And thank you for having me.
No, absolutely wonderful. You won the award for the Mission Critical Technology Innovation, and you're just showing it again and again how important, why you won and how important this is to our industry. Thank you. And to everybody listening, please reach out to Honeywell for support and help. I mean, I know we're all dealing with skill shortages, but there's people right there to help and be your partner and assist. And even help with my designs, even better. Wonderful. And with that, I've got to say, much appreciation to Maria.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
And with that, I've got to say to everybody, this episode is on demand as usual. Please send it out to your colleagues and your friends. There's more to see. And don't forget, reach out to Honeywell if you've got any questions or need support. They're there for you. And don't forget, tune in a few minutes for the next broadcast. And again, to Maria and to Honeywell, thank you.